Hi everyone, so we're just going to get started in a minute. I'm letting people in from the waiting room, so just hang tight and please keep yourself muted for now. All right, I think we will get started. We might have a few more people joining us today, but just quickly, I want to say hi, my name is Julia Ryan. I'm the Artist Resource Manager in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And today we're going to be walking prospective bidders through a summary of the contents of this RFP. So we ask that all interested parties refer directly to the RFP and its contents in entirety for the full kind of breadth of information in responding to it. But today we're just going to be pulling out really the most important pieces. And we are going to be talking about what we're looking for and how to apply. And then we're going to be leaving some time for questions at the end. And we're going to do our best to answer those today. We're going to add all of those questions to an FAQ and the answers to them, which we'll be compiling. And those will be available for all interested parties as well after the fact. So if there's any questions that we can't answer today, we will add them to that and we'll answer them in the FAQ. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. If everyone can keep themselves muted, that would be great. We can have you unmute yourself when you're asking questions toward the end, but please save your questions till then. And I think we will just kick things off with a quick welcome from Cara Elliott Ortega, our Chief of Arts and Culture, and then we will kind of get into the contents of the RFP. So I'm going to kick it over to Cara. And Christina, if you could go to the next slide, that would be great.
Great. Thanks, Julia. And thanks everyone for being here to discuss this workforce and professional development RFP for artists and creative workers. Good to see some familiar folks. This scope of work that we're hiring for is really the culmination of many years now of providing services and support directly to individual artists, both through the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, but also through contracts that we've had in the past and really learning from that work. So part of what we're aiming for big picture with this new RFP is to centralize our contracts for these services so that we can be more holistic about what we support and what support for artists even looks like, consolidating services when it makes sense to, but also opening this opportunity up to new groups that are providing those services. Maybe you didn't do it, a few years ago and now you are. This would be a great opportunity to connect. And really meeting artists and creative workers where they are at a time when so much is shifting, obviously, in the world and for people and in our industries specifically. So just excited to have you all here, and please don't let anything about the procurement process keep you from responding or bidding on this. We are here to help and to explain the bureaucracy behind contracting with the city. So that's part of what we're here to answer. So ask all of your questions, please. And with that, I'll pass it to Julia.
Great, thanks so much, Cara. Christina, would you mind going to the next slide? Great, so first we're just going to kick things off with what we are looking for in this RFP. So this is the Workforce and Professional Development Consultants for Artists and Creative Workers RFP, and the event number is 00010141. Christina, next slide. So we are looking for organizations, companies, individuals who are interested in providing technical assistance, professional development, and workforce development services to Boston's artists and creative workers. So you can be someone who is providing one of these things, or a more multiple kind of versions of these particular services at the same time. And we're looking for services contracted through this RFP to support artists, arts educators, and creative workers who were most impacted by COVID-19 in Boston. Next slide. We are looking for organizations, companies, and individuals to kind of specifically tell us how they're going to be engaging specific communities. You don't have to engage necessarily all of these communities, but these are the types of communities that we are looking kind of most to be supported through the contents of this RFP. So we're interested in supporting cultural and language communities. So in Boston, the language communities, or the languages that are most frequently spoken other than English, are Spanish, Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, Vietnamese, Haitian Creole, and Cape Verdean Creole. We are looking to support artists in specific neighborhoods. So those neighborhoods are Mattapan, Dorchester, Alston and Brighton, East Boston, Roxbury, Mission Hill, Fenway, and Kenmore. We're looking for services to support artists with disabilities, immigrants, BIPOC artists, and LGBTQIA artists. Next slide. We are interested in a lot of different types of services, and you as a bidder could provide one of these services, or you could provide multiple ones if you are qualified to do so. So we are interested in equity, diversity, and inclusion workshops and professional development for creative professionals. We're interested in portfolio review services. So this could be across artistic disciplines, including music, dance, writing, film, 2D and 3D visual arts. We are interested in media services, so audio engineers, photographers, producers, videographers, web developers, and more. And we're also interested in business development services. So that could be brand and business plan development. It could be bookkeeping and accounting, sales, marketing, social media, e-commerce, creative commercial space operations, planning your retirement and estate planning, stuff like that. Next slide. We are also interested in helping artists respond to grants, public art RFPs, and calls for art. We're interested in arts educator professional developments. So this doesn't have to be, these are just some ideas. This could be related to supporting arts educators, teaching critical race theory, culturally relevant pedagogies, curriculum planning, accessibility, and virtual learning. We're interested in support for artists in helping them facilitate and mediate cultural organizing efforts with a particular focus on displacement. We're interested in architectural engineering and design services related to space and facilities projects, and that can be temporary or long-term. Next slide. We're interested in fabrication and installation technical assistance for long and short-term public art projects. We're interested in tax or legal assistance, networking or industry collaboration. So that could look like creating spaces for artists to meet each other and build community. It could look like creating mentorship opportunities for artists, speaker series, things like that. And we're also interested in mental health and wellness support resources for creative workers. And then lastly, we're open. So we are interested in hearing about services that you might be able to offer to artists to help them lead successful careers in Boston that we haven't identified through this list already. Next slide, please. So what type of service provision models are we looking for? So here are some examples. We are not necessarily gearing it just toward these. If there's other types of models that you think are appropriate, you can propose them as well, but some examples are one-on-one technical assistance, cohort-based programming, and workshop series. Next slide. And then just some important dates to check out that are coming up. So this Friday, so tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we are going to have our deadline to submit questions for the RFP. So all questions should be submitted to me via email, and those will be included in our FAQ. We're going to consolidate all those questions and the answers to them over the next week, and that will be posted no later than 5 p.m. next Friday, January 28th. The deadline for proposals is Friday, February 11th at 5 p.m. And proposals must be submitted through the city's Supplier Portal or via hard copy, and they must be received before the deadline. They cannot be submitted by email to me or one of our other staff members on our team. And then the week of February 21st, we will be having interviews or demonstrations if necessary, and we will be selecting contracts the week of March 11th. Next slide. So those are kind of that's a summary of the contents and what we're looking for. And I'm gonna turn it over to my colleague, Naida Faria, our Director of Administration and Finance. She's gonna walk us through how to apply.
Thank you, Julia. So there are two things that are very important in submitting this proposal. First is the technical proposal, and this is language from our procurement site. So the technical proposal is basically your response. How do you want to do this work? So it includes everything from like your team, your introduction, the project that you're proposing, your background qualifications, and your references. So it includes everything except the price, which we will go over next. So on the first page of your proposal, we would like you to provide your contact information. This is, your name, your title, address, email, phone number, way that we can contact you, and kind of like a brief introduction of highlighting, why you'd be a good partner to work with us in the city on this project. So going back to the technical proposal, this section is where you will tell us like how you will meet and exceed our needs. So a couple of things that we want to make sure that you include are the services and topics that you will focus through your programming, the number of artists that you'll be able to serve, and what populations you have reached through your programming. How will you make this program equitable and accessible for all creative workers who attend? And you plan to successfully evaluate and track success of your programming and any model or models of service or provision that you will provide. So the vendor background qualifications, we want you to describe your organization's history, structure, strategy, and work. If you're not an organization and more of like a collaborative artist, we would like to get some description on how you will work together. And then just focus on the ability of like being a good partner for this project and demonstrating like a track record and providing like any artist services that you're proposing. And please include documentation of your insurance coverage. So for staffing and key staff qualifications, we're looking for you to describe the team that will work on this project, including any key team members. And just make the case of why they'll be a great partner on this project. You can include bios, resumes, or whatever you think is best will highlight their strength, whether it be a link to their online portfolio, that should be fine. So then the price proposal, which will be a separate document and not attached to the technical proposal. You will list all your costs associated to your proposed project, including what it means to deliver that program. So we had included in the RFP, which is attached to the event on the Supplier Portal, a proposed budget template. But if there's other cost that doesn't fit in that template, we would like you to submit your own template. And again, the price proposal must be submitted separately from the technical proposal. So this is where our event lives. So if you go to boston.gov/procurement, I just posted the link on the chat. you will find the supplier portal. So you should be coming up to this page. You click on the bottom where it says supplier portal. And you will arrive at this page. This is the standard page where the city puts out requests for proposal, requests for bids, requests for quotes. So you will see like random car parts or tote bags. Generally has events populate. It'll go up and bottom. You'll see a start and start date and time and end date. And ours would be here. And also you can follow the event number ending in 10141 is our event. As you can see in this screenshot, is to the top. Again, events come in and out throughout the day, so it will be somewhere here, but it should be here until the end date. So finding the call. So once you click on that event date, you will see this page. It'll give you brief information, my email, and you can click on the event package, and that's where you can retrieve a PDF of the RFP. So again, this is where you click on the workforce consultants, RFP, you click on view, and a PDF should open up. And inside that RFP, there's a checklist for you to submit your proposal. So we have broken it up into the section. Again, the statement of interest, any biographies of your team members, CVs, resumes, anything that will highlight your team. We have a diversity inclusion plan, the response to work, the scope of work, which would be what are you offering us as a program, and then your vendor background and company qualifications and your 3 references. And then the other set of document will be the price proposal, and this is where you will break down what does it cost for this program. And then there's other links also on the supplier portal of how to use that, and we can send some guides on how to submit a bid. It's very difficult because usually the city's buying pencils and paper versus service. So there's a lot of languages about quantity and the proposed amount. So you can use those guidelines to help you out. And this is where you can register as a sourcing bidder. So you don't have to register as a vendor. You can. If you register as a vendor, you have a chance to get other opportunities from the city. But if you're just bidding for this, you just have to register as a sourcing bidder. But that means you'll be able to bid against this event, but you wouldn't be a registered vendor with the city. And this is like very simple step 8 steps of like applying to be a bidder. And this is where how you actually screenshot what it looks like to submit. Make sure that the event name is the one that you're looking at to bid, that is this RFP. Make sure that you're in time. Please do not submit things at 4:59. There's limited capacity on how to help you with this thing. It is like an outdated software. It may be a little bit tricky. This might be a lot of reloading and making sure that things are uploaded correctly. So just give yourself enough time to make sure that you have your stuff submitted. You can download the RFP, make sure that you have all your documentation is ready to once you're ready to submit before the deadline. We also have a vendor help desk that might be able to help you. There are staff 9 to 5. So anything closer to the 5 o'clock deadline, your questions might not go. So I'm putting the vendor email on the chat. And this is also what you will see once you're, we have 9 questions to answer with the bidding. And this is just like our legal language. So you're about to submit your response. This would include actually putting in the price, and this goes back to what is the price and one is the quantity. The quantity is always 1, because again, this goes back to we buy pencils and pens and paper. So just make sure that the quantity is always 1, and then your price is a price, what it's on your budget, the final cost of your program. And now we'll open it up to questions.
Great, thanks so much, Nida. So one thing I meant to say when I was presenting, Nida, I'm not sure if you covered this, so if you did, I apologize, but we have $500,000 that we're allocating through this RFP. We are hoping and planning to contract with multiple service providers. So when it comes to budget, we are looking for you to propose a budget that is under that cap. We're looking for service providers to offer services for 20 months. So that would be basically through the end of 2023. So in putting together a budget, we want you to think about what would be appropriate with the services that you want to provide over that amount of time. And under the cap of $500,000, which we will be kind of using to contract with multiple service providers. So yeah, now we're going to take questions. If you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask it, and we will just go from there. Molly, I think you're raising your hand. Feel free to start us off.
Okay. I'm wondering if direct funding to artists is an eligible expense for this, or if it should be entirely expenses for the technical assistance delivery.
Nida, do you want to answer that one?
I would get back to that one. We can answer. I know that's like the bulk of, especially with this type of funding, the need of making sure that artists have funding in general. But I can get some more information on that questions, and we can send the answer via email to our participants.
Great. Thanks.
Hey guys, one of the things, Val here, this was very helpful, first of all, so thank you for sharing all of this information. One of the things that I was also wondering, a lot of this information might also live in our business plans. Is it okay to simply submit the business plan as an attachment to some of the questions that are going to be required for us to fill out, or is it best to go ahead and use the form and sort of leave business plans out of it?
You can attach the business plan, has supporting documentation. If there's something, let's say part of like you're describing your team and the background, and if that's already in the business plan, you can just note that and just include that file as part of the package.
Excellent, thank you so much. That's what I was wondering.
Hey, I've actually got 2 questions, if that's okay. So the first was on the proposal language, when you're referring to vendors. I know at Mass Art, and I can tell just by who's here, there's probably a few other people with a similar question. If we're organizing a workshop series, do we need to list and treat every speaker as a vendor or subcontractor?
No. So whoever's registering as a vendor will be the person that the contract will be awarded. And we will capture if awarded, we will capture like any subcontractors on a separate contract forms. But just for this initial state, whoever's doing whoever's submitting the proposal will be the person, if awarded, will receive the contract.
Thanks. And then the second part to my question, right? Second question was, so we do some programs sort of on a academic annual schedule, and I noticed with the cutoff at the end of the 20 months being the end of 23, if some of our programming has started within the window but would continue for a few months into 2024, is that okay to submit?
I will get back to you on that. Again, this is it's ARPA funding. We're trying to make sure that we're putting out the money out as soon as possible. That's why we gave the 20-month timeline. But I can see if any programs can be extended past the contract date.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Really good to see some familiar faces here. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'd like to know, does everyone that's a part of the team have to be, or is this specific to vendors that live in Boston specifically, or vendors that live in Massachusetts? If some of the people that are a part of your team are not in the state, is that still acceptable?
That's a great question. We don't have a residency requirement for this RFP, so yes, it doesn't. It's okay if vendors live in various places.
Thank you.
If I have a question, is it okay if you're already a vendor of the city and have an other technical assistant program as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Nida, there was a question too that asked about the difference between a vendor and
I was just gonna say,
the
yeah.
bidder. Can you go over that again?
Thank
Yes.
you.
So a bidder is kind of like a one-time deal. You're registering as a bidder to bid for this event. A vendor, you become a city vendor. So not only can you apply for this opportunity, but you can also go back and apply to the other opportunities. Becoming a vendor is the only way to bid on this. And it's also the way that you would, if awarded, you will get paid. So the vendor number or the vendor ID acts more as like your social security. It's tied to you or to your organization. That's how we identify you. It kind of like in the back end, like, you know, it goes from our office. It's the number that is on the contract. If it's awarded, it's the number that Treasury will use to issue payment. So you're kind of creating like an ID for yourself or your organization. And also, again, going back to if you are a registered vendor, once there's like another bid that goes out and it's linked to something that is related that you will also get these notifications. So there's like a bonus for that. You will always be in the loop of what's going on in the city of Boston.
Okay, so should we assume that if we are already receiving those email communications that we are registered as a vendor?
Correct.
Okay,
The only
excellent.
thing is that sometimes our vendor IDs go inactive. So if
Okay.
you haven't received anything from the city in a while, like a payment, for example,
Right.
then we will ask you to just provide a W-9 with your updated information.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Quickly on that, if you have a vendor ID that's been associated with you as an individual and you're going to apply as a organization or a group, should you apply for a new vendor number? Does it buy you any? Yeah.
Yes, you should apply. So your vendor ID should reflect the organization or group that will be submitting the proposal.
Thank you.
Two questions in the chat that I just want to get to. So One about if a group of consultants rather than an organization is applying, should everyone in the group be registered as a bidder or vendor, or just the person submitting the actual RFP? So there's language about this in the actual RFP, but basically the city is contracting with one contractor in this organization who would be subcontracting on their own. I believe that's accurate. Nida, let me know if I misstated that.
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay, great. And then wondering if there are specific programs we're looking to support with the services we've contracted for. That's a great question. We don't have specific programs outlined at this time. The services that we've outlined in the RFP are obviously a lot of different types of services, and they're reflective of the many types of services that basically we've seen requested, or we know there's a need for artists in Boston. And so we will be kind of curating a group, I think, of service providers who can complement each other and offer different types of services within the realm of the ones that we are looking for. I hope that answers your question for now.
Julia, a quick question about that. If we are in fact able, one of the things that I would like a little bit of clarity, the idea of being project based to me would say that we're sort of working in one area. If we are able to provide a variety of those service needs, should we speak to that in our proposal? And sort of like request funding for that as well?
Yes, if you are qualified and interested in providing multiple types of services, you're more than welcome to apply to do so.
Okay, and we would just put that all under the same RFP with one sort of funding request, right? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
And just to add to that, you'll see in the RFP that we ask about like how you deliver your services in addition to what the content is. So if there are different ways that you know you can deliver some set of services, it's really helpful to spell that out, because to the comment in the chat, there might be some things where we're, it's kind of as something comes up, we might need a service. But if we see that actually you have another way that you can provide that, that's helpful to have that extra piece of information. It might be something that we're not thinking about. So spelling out the different kinds of arrangements that you might be able to accommodate is really helpful.
I'm wondering, hi everyone, Stacy Handler, Managing Director of Urbanity Dance. Nice to see everyone. Cara or Julia or Val, you seem to have a good idea of what you're thinking of applying for. I'm wondering, could you give like an actual example? Because I have thoughts and ideas of what Urbanity might be able to do, but I just want to make sure that what I'm thinking is in line with the spirit of this proposal.
So sorry, to clarify, you're looking for like an example of the type of services. So for example, like going back to the types that we're looking for, one of them is helping artists respond to grants. So in that example, that could be like one-on-one help, like sitting down with an artist and helping them like understand a grant, helping them actually like write a proposal or response to it. Or that could look like maybe leading workshops on how to, best practices around responding to grants. So that's just kind of one example within that realm of services.
Great. And then, so I guess one of the areas that's listed is the like creative space. So this is very specific to Urbanity, but would like hiring people to work in a creative space and have like programs to develop their understanding of business, developing their business acumen. Is that in line or not really?
Yeah, so services definitely that would help with business acumen or would be absolutely appropriate. And then I'm not sure I understood the first part exactly, but yes, I mean, services that would help, I mean, maybe dancers hypothetically in your case, kind of have a more of a business background would be relevant.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Genevieve from the Fenway Alliance. I just had a quick follow-up question. If you were to want to propose to support artists in applying for grants, I could see filling out the RFP with our expertise in that area. But do you have artists like that you would pair with, or would we be finding the artists that we would want to support, or organizations that we want to support with that help?
Yeah, that's a really good question that we get into a bit more in the RFP. If we, let's say you're proposing like a cohort-based program, we would be looking for you to carry the workload of like running an application process or finding artists for something like that, and we would be helping you get the word out about it and marketing it. Through our various networks and our social media channels, our newsletters, things like that. We also would be, let's say, artists come to us all the time with looking for assistance across these particular services, and we would also be referring people to you in those particular scenarios.
Great,
That was
thank you.
specifically my question about matching. How is that going to happen in terms of organizations? So thank you. Thank you for the question and thank you for the answer. Yes.
I have a follow-up on Stacy's question. I thank you for all this information and for clarifying so much today. I feel like I understand the application process and the sort of the who and the what and the to what end very well. I think maybe where I'm curious for some more clarity or shared understanding for the goals of this program are the how and the dosage and the frequency of services that you're thinking about. So, for example, are you hoping to see professionals on call that artists can seek out when they have a question? Are you hoping to see weekly sessions? Are you hoping to see monthly sessions? And I understand that the answer could be all of the above. But for example, there's different models around the city for this. Some of them are like monthly sessions. Some of them are office hours style where you can book a time. And that's just a really wide range of possible service provisions. And maybe the answer is all of the above, but if you do have any guardrails, either formally or informally, that's just more of like a norm of what you might be hoping to see, I think it would be really helpful to know about so that we don't go too far in the wrong direction of what you think would be most valuable for the artists in question, because I think you know what the city's artists need.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So we have been in the past offering various types of partnerships with organizations to offer professional development supports and services. And we've always kind of tried to offer a variety of dosages, so to speak. So I think we will be looking to curate a group who can be offering over the 20 months that we're contracting with them, options that meet artists at kind of different levels. So, if people are interested in one-on-one support, we hope we can be offering that, or we hope we can be offering, maybe workshops that are something that's more of like something an artist could do for a few hours. If artists are more interested in something that's bigger, like a bigger time, chunk of their time, like a ongoing weekly thing, we're kind of interested in lots of different programs that like meet artists where they're at in terms of their time and the commitment that they're interested in, and then also the amount of services that they actually are looking for. So we do have the ability to, after receiving bids, speak with the bidders and kind of talk about negotiating what those scopes of work look like a bit more to make sure that they all kind of work together. So it's possible that we might do that and have some of those conversations as part of the process, so we can get to a place where we're kind of offering all the different types of services we would like to be offering.
Hi, everyone. Jonathan Lang with Boston Entertainment. Quick question regarding the insurance. Is the minimum insurance requirements, is that required to bid, or is it to sign the contract? From a lot of the notes I'm seeing in the chat here, small independent people may not carry that type of insurance and wouldn't need it if they're not going to get a contract with the city. So is it something that once you get the, you can apply, and once if you were selected, you can then get the insurance coverage before you sign the contract with the city? Thank you.
Sure. So yes, if you have insurance for your business, you can upload your certificate. But we're not telling people to go ahead and get insurance. This will be a requirement upon awarding the contract, and we can always work with the person on insurance issues.
Do we have any other questions?
I have one other question.
Sure.
Let me think how to, sorry, apologies. So we have residency programs that include aspects of this: technical assistance, professional development, which again, for dancers, kind of looks like different things other than like a grant writing workshop. And so currently those programs, we have an application process, et cetera. And this kind of speaks to an earlier question of like who has access to these opportunities. So would like a residency be eligible, or it has to be something that is open to anyone who identifies as a creative worker or artist?
So we are open definitely to programming that is kind of through an application process. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like, this is open to anyone 24/7. It could be something that you all are curating through residency or through an application process. So yes, I think that would be absolutely fine. And Stacey, I do want to mention again that we are, so that big long list of services that we are interested in, it's a lot of services, but it might not be comprehensive. So we are open to to things that you all might propose, that services that you might already offer that are useful to artists that might have not already been called out in this RFP. So we do want to emphasize that people can propose services that aren't listed here that are helpful to artists in Boston, that are helpful to artists in Boston. So please do think of that as a place where you can get creative and you can offer things that are not necessarily on this list.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Actually, did you have your hand raised? Is that an accidental hand raise?
I did have it raised, but my question was covered, so I put it back down. Hi, y'all. It was good to see you.
Great. Anyone else?
Yes, last question. How soon will you be making the decision, or when will decisions come out?
Yeah, so I am just going to go back to our upcoming dates. So our deadline, and actually this is good to just go through now that we're at the end of the presentation again anyways. So tomorrow at 5 is the deadline to submit questions. So if you think of any more questions after this presentation today or tomorrow, please get those to me by email by 5 o'clock tomorrow. We will consolidate all the answers to them. We will put them in an FAQ, and those will be available for all vendors, all bidders. We have a deadline of February 11th at 5 p.m. So that's our deadline for submitting via the supplier portal or hard copy your bid if you're interested. And then we will be selecting contractors the week of March 11th.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Julia, one just came in through the chat.
Oh, great. So the question is, and Cara, maybe you could, I think you might answer this one most beautifully, but could you please elaborate on this service a bit more? Facilitation and mediation supports for cultural organizing efforts with a particular focus on displacement threats.
Yeah, so this is a need that is popping up around the city where artists are working on some kind of community organizing, cultural organizing, could be like plan, response to displacement, response to development, a lot of place-based issues that are coming up in terms of access to space. And these are things that live, outside of the, a bit outside of the direct work of the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. We already do have a lot of meetings with groups that are trying to organize around different issues, but we want to be able to provide specific support to those artists who are trying to figure out how to navigate those things. So that can look like a lot of different kinds of facilitation support. We have mediation in here because, as with any kind of community organizing grassroots effort, there could be different groups kind of trying to figure out how to get on the same page. And that goes as far as helping groups of artists think about how to engage with other parts of their community that might not be artists or arts focused or not be connected to that kind of art space that's under threat. There's just a lot of kind of community issues around that. So we're trying to find folks who can support that kind of community conversation and between artists who are trying to work together, but also between artists and other stakeholders in the communities that they're working in. But that's a very place-based support that we're looking for.
Great, thanks so much, Cara.
I just had a quick question about sort of the delineation of funds at the end. I know that there is sort of one set date for submissions and then one set date for those announcements to be made. Will there sort of be like you guys will select the group that you plan to award? Will it be more of we're awarding until funds run out? How will that sort of work out?
Naida, do you want to answer that one?
I think it varies on how many responses we receive back, the cost of each proposal, and also on funding. There might be some proposals that might be a little bit shorter than 20 months. So I think it varies on how many proposals are received and, what are we looking to award? Because we also want a diverse pool of services. We want to capture as most of the services that we name on the RFP, but also welcome to anything that is not there on that list.
Thank you.
Quick question specifically around the DEI related things and offerings in terms of scope, right? So many people are doing a lot of DEI related work, and that can certainly span to a large group of people. Would you suggest focusing it on a cohort model or propose that this is something that can be offered to all artists, as many artists, and this is the way that we might roll out DEI and J or DEI and B or embodied equity work across a larger swath?
I can take that one. I think, we're looking to you as the person providing the service to tell us what the right fit is for what you do. So I think if you, for the strength of your proposal, if you have different ways that you can do that work, and maybe those come with different kinds of budgets, and you've done them in the past, and you can say, I can do it this way, and here's what I did in the past, or I can do it this other way, and here's what that looked like in my previous work, then I would say just have the different options available in the proposal so that we can see what the best fit would look like. But we're definitely looking to you all as the experts in what you do to say, this really works as a cohort model, and so that's how we're going to do it. And I have a track record of doing it that way. And I think just as like a piece of advice for everyone, if I think it makes sense if this is an opportunity for you to scale something or have a partnership that you haven't had before, that all makes sense. We are going to be looking at, what have you done in the past, and what are you putting in as, your work history, and all of that is a part of the strength of the proposal. Like that's a part of the evaluation. So I think, not using this to say like, oh, maybe this is the time I'll try a whole new way of doing service delivery for this program, but really like saying, here's how I did it. And so I'm proposing a version of what I've already done. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Kara.
I have a quick question. Hi, everybody. Thanks for doing this. Just wondering if you're looking for or sort of valuing outside resources being brought into a project. Are you sort of anticipating that this funding would pay for 100% of whatever's being proposed, or does it strengthen a proposal if there's outside resources helping support something? Or does that not matter?
It's not currently in our evaluation criteria. I mean, Julia, maybe you can confirm that, right?
I would have to double check to make sure. I'm pretty sure that is not in our evaluation criteria though. Yeah.
So it wouldn't make your application more competitive. That said, I don't think that, obviously we don't have a problem with not funding 100% of it if you're combining other funds to support the work, as long as it can still reach the same goals that we have in the scope.
Got it, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I think we will wrap up if we don't have any more questions. Thank you everyone so much for your time and for asking all these great questions today. We will consolidate all the answers here into our FAQ, and then, again, if anything else comes up, please just shoot me an email. I'm gonna just drop my email into the chat right now before we leave. It is my first name, julia.ryan, which is my last name, at boston.gov. So there you go. We'll download the chat and make sure we capture questions there as well. And then this was recorded, so we will be reaching back out to all the registrants to share a PDF of this PowerPoint, and then also the recording, so you all can have this to review. So thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.